Hello, readers. Welcome to The Adulterous Whore. I'm your host, Stacey Wright. I am really sorry that I keep shifting the day on the Rewrite Rory episode. Now, as you may be aware, I have started another podcast called The Toppling TBR with Hannah. So, trying to find time to record 3 episodes is proving a little problematic. And then I also had the problem of trying to finish the book in time to record the episode yesterday. So I'm like, I'm just going to give myself the grace period. I finished the book yesterday and I needed to think about what I thought about it. I'm sorry about that. So one of two things is either going to happen. I'm either going to stop the Read Like Rory episodes every week and then take it in turns every Tuesday with my bookish episode and then a Read Like Rory episode and alternate between the two. Or I'm just going to shift it over to Saturdays so that I can record this episode and the one with Hannah back to back. I don't know what's going to happen yet. I'm really hoping I can still squeeze it in, but I'm not going to drive myself crazy. I'm not going to burn myself out because I really don't want to do that. I want to be around for a while. What I want is to build the kind of community of readers that I enjoy and that other people can enjoy, and we can find more of our people. So what have I been up to this week? So oh my god, okay, I actually found somebody to do some buddy reading with me for my Read Like Rory challenge. She actually bought the book off of Amazon that lists all the books that Rory does. I think there's a bunch of other stuff in there. She hasn't received it yet, but she's really pumped to do a buddy read with me. You never know, maybe she'll come on the podcast and we can talk. But she wants to do the first book as Jane Eyre. And I don't know if we're going to get that done in time for it to be my next episode or whether or not we're going to take this more slow. So I'll have an update on that for you very soon. I've also spent the week reading Throne of Glass. Now, the reason I did that, because I've already read it, is because Hannah and I, on our episode today, are going to be doing a deep dive on the book. Now, it was definitely new for me reading a book, writing notes, picking out quotes that I enjoyed, and kind of analyzing what the characters are up to instead of just immersing myself in the fantasy world. So that was a really different thing for me to be doing this week. And honestly, it's a little bit more time consuming. When I read the book, it obviously took me a lot of time having to do it this way where I'm making notes. Wow, it's more time consuming. And my kids are buttholes. All we've had is torrential rain. And then when it stopped raining and I got them outside, I got bitten to death by mosquitoes. And if anybody understands what mosquito syndrome is, I suffer with it. So when I get one bug bite, it turns ginormous. I even have one on my head, okay? So I've had it's not been the best week, you know what I mean? But I also have been doing a lot of bedazzling of book covers. I'm still learning because what I really want to do is I want to learn how to do the full cover. Right now, I'm just practicing on the words and some of the smaller details on book covers, and I'm expanding out. I'm really struggling to know what books to do off of my own shelf because, they're my books, right? So I've sent my daughter Kate on a mission to find me copies of some of my favorite books from thrift stores so that I can practice. And if I make a mistake, I won't be so bummed. But it's that's a lot of fun, time consuming. I don't know if you've ever tried diamond painting, so I've been doing that as well. I have a Nevermore one that I'm currently doing. I've been working on it for probably a few weeks now because I only do like an hour or two at a time while I'm listening to audiobooks. Book covers, that's many hours, many hours. But it's been a lot of fun. And then my reading week has been pretty good, actually. So I started out the week with Maid for Each Other by Lynn Painter. And it's basically the story of a woman, and she cleans these high-end apartments, and she works in a grocery store, I think it was. And her place needs to be fumigated. And she knows that the person whose apartment she's cleaning is not home. So she stays there for a couple of days, like hides out there. She's got nowhere else to go, can't afford to be anywhere else. And then his parents show up there unexpectedly. And she has the same name as this fictitious girlfriend that he's created. And they assume that she's the girlfriend. And then they have to fake date and whatnot in exchange for she gets to stay there. And he gets his parents and his job off his back. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was really good banter. It was really well written. I love Lynn Painter as an author. So I really enjoyed that one. It was definitely a win for me. Another one that I read was Diamonds, Deception, and Destiny by Mia Pia. Now, this is book 2 in a series. The first book was decent. It was one that was printed through Wattpad and part of their influence program. So they sent me the first book and it was okay. I enjoyed it. So they sent me book 2. And actually book 2 was lots better. It's all about this pop star and she is achieving celebrity status. And in this book, she has to work with an ex who is making things very difficult and she's in a relationship with somebody else. So there's a lot of drama going on in there, but I actually thought this book was better than the first. Now, I already read The Coven by Harper Woods, but what I did was I grabbed the audiobooks from Libby of The Coven and The Curse and I listened to them back to back. Now, I don't know if this is a book series that you know, but it's basically about a witch and her mother has had her in hiding because, the rules and regulations around what they have to do suck. So the mother ran off with her, but she is the bloodline of 2 different families. So she's part of a prophecy. And they find out that she's alive after the mother actually dies because the first time around they thought she was dead and she wasn't. So anyway, she ends up going to this school that's run by vampires, and it's all about the struggle between the witches and the vampires about, I don't want to spoil it. It's really hard to say things without spoiling them, but I actually really enjoyed the audiobooks. And then the last book I read was Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Now, this one was really hard for me because lots of people are like, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. And there's no real in between. And they really weren't wrong. Like, the book is about a girl and she is running away from guards and she ends up triggering off the Quicksilver. So she's like an alchemist, but she didn't know that, which brings forth this giant of a man to rescue her. And then it's all about her using her powers and her gifts to try and help his people free themselves from the vampires, because that's what's happening right now. Like, again, it's really hard not to spoil it, because I just want to tell you everything, but I won't do that. Though I actually really enjoyed it, and it's part of a series. That was book 1, so I'm really pumped to start reading that. I just started Silver Elite today. I think it's by Danny Francis. Now, this one I was really excited to get it because I got it as my book of the month pick, and it has sprayed edges, so I had to wait for the audiobook, and I just started it this morning, so I was really pumped for that. Okay, so this is season 2, episode 16 of my Read Like Rory challenge, and today's book was bum bum bum, The Scarlet Letter by Nathanial Hawthorne. Now, this book, I read it before. I didn't read it for a university class, but I was in university when I first read the book. I remember I really enjoyed it back then, but I was very much into classics back then. I read a lot of classics. I was kind of like this weird hybrid of horror and classics and thrillers. I didn't read much else. I'm a lot more versatile nowadays with my reading habits, but I remember really enjoying it. So I was really excited to grab a copy of this book. So what is it about? So it's a historical fiction that is set in the 17th century in the Puritan regime in Boston, Massachusetts. And it all centers on this woman. Her name is Hester. And she is forced to wear a Scarlet A on her clothing in public to provide penance for committing the act of adultery. And it also is a child born of that union. And it's all about what happens to her as a person. She never admits who the father is in public, and what happens to the child. All right. So why do I think Rory enjoyed this book? Now, it covers things like sin and the hypocrisy of how a person is treated based on their gender and social standings. Now, I think that would have really resonated with Rory because she tends to read a lot of books that cover societal topics in this manner. Now, it covers a time period where the Puritans reigned supreme and their religious beliefs were really extreme. They basically, I don't know if you know much about the time, but in the UK in the 1500s, King Henry VIII made a decision to break away from the Catholic Church and created his own church, Church of England. Now, there was a lot of back and forth with religion when his daughter Mary took the throne, then when his daughter Elizabeth took the throne, where it went back to Catholicism and then it went back to Church of England. Now, this was a time when the Puritans were fleeing from England to go live in the new land, right, into America. And they basically brought about a new form of religion where it was like Catholicism, but at the extreme end. Like they would starve themselves to provide penance. Everything that they did, anyone did wrong, was a slight, was against God, and they were severely punished. So I think that she would have really enjoyed that time period told in such a way from the standpoint of a woman who still believed what these people were about, but she was having to pay the price for still believing in it. Tackles human nature in such a way that the fault doesn't just lie with the person who committed this crime against God, or however you want to put this, but you can see how the book, like he did a really good job of showing the hypocrisy of these people, and the fault lies with them all. And that, I think that's that was new for that time period of being written about. I think that was a really different take on how to portray religion and women, because obviously she's alone now. Like her husband was alive. He found out about the adultery, but I think they were still married in the eyes of God, but he wasn't living with her. So it basically shows that nobody got out unscathed. Nobody. And I really think she would have enjoyed the overcoming of adversity in a place where Hester was really ridiculed. She was ostracized. No one spoke to her. She had this child who was a bastard, and she literally had to find a way to take care of herself, take care of this kid, and be okay with being on the fringe of society. And I think that really would have spoken to Rory on a feminine level. Now, what did I think about it? You know what? I don't know. I did not get the same reactions and feelings I got the first time that I read the book. It really didn't sit well with me. Now, Hester stayed in this Puritan town and wore that letter on herself for 7 years. She literally took the penance for what she did. That's fine. But she had a child, and that child saw the ramifications of what she did wrong. She already had to start again, so she had to learn how to take care of herself. She had to pay all her own way. Nothing would have changed had she hauled ass out of that place. You know what I mean? She could have taken that child, moved to another town where no one knew her, and could have said, "This is my child. My husband passed away." And she could have had an easier and better life. But she truly believed in this religious sanctimonious bullshit that she had to pay penance, not thinking about what it was doing to her child. Like her child couldn't go to school. So her child was seen as being a wild little devil. And I really didn't enjoy how Pearl was portrayed either. Like she was imaginative playing on her own because she's a curious child and she couldn't go to school. She couldn't talk to other kids. What do you expect this kid to turn out like? I'm not being funny, but I probably would have turned into a little wild child. It was unfair to make it seem like this child was acting this way because of this imagined slight against God, instead of the fact that she literally had no one to talk to about her mother and things around her, like grass and animals and stuff like that. It made me really angry inside, I guess. And maybe that's kind of the point, was to feel a certain amount of anger. This poor child had to be ostracized. And yeah, she was a little weird because of it. Of course she is. Imagine living in a town full of people that literally would not really acknowledge who you are. And I really didn't enjoy the fact that the mother, she didn't decide to leave. Like she could obviously afford to, and she knew how to make passage to get the heck out of America. Like she was planning on going to Europe, but she didn't make that plan until she could get the father of the child on board to leave with her. And that just seemed really ridiculous to me. She's been living on her own, doing her own thing, and woman powering it for 7 years, and she's still waiting around for this dude. I don't know. I don't know, it made me really angry. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still angry. Now, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the writing. It was about as well paced as you expect a classic book to be. They're a little slow, they're a little dry. That's just how the writing is, and there's no point complaining about something that was the standard back then. I can really see what Hawthorne was trying to do, but I didn't feel any commonality with Hester. I felt like she was bringing a lot of this stuff on herself, not the adultery, but the sticking around for the punishment. It's not up to people to punish her. If you think about the logic here, she made a mistake and there was a child. Really, it wasn't she blessed? She was blessed with a child and something to love. But she allowed the town to treat her like this pariah, like she had some kind of contagious disease. And I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. And I think the first time I read it, I saw her as accepting her fate and still living and doing what she had to do for her child. But I really think leaving would have been better. But I would have made for a really short book, eh? Now, I don't know. Her husband, like the man she cheated on, was a ton older than her. She wasn't in love with him. And I don't think that, like, he sent her on in advance. It's not like they were living together and she slept with somebody else. He sent her along. So she was alone. And I kind of wonder if the man that she slept with, like, I'm trying not to ruining it too much for you, but I'm wondering if the man that she slept with kind of took advantage of her. But again, like, and her husband was a real douche canoe. I'm not even kidding. I couldn't, okay? I just couldn't. Her husband was horrible. I didn't much care for her. I felt really bad for the kid. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. That's what it was like, douche, 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 poor child. Absolutely saying that, I did enjoy it. I finished it. I brought out some feels in me. But I did enjoy it. I gave it 3.75 cups of Luke's coffee. So clearly it made an impact. I don't know if you've read it. If you want to have a chat with me, please do. You can always hit me up in the comments. But what is the book that's coming next? Now, this is obviously going to be a bit problematic for me because I'm not entirely sure. I don't know whether or not the very nice lady on Instagram is going to be ready to go next week with Jane Eyre. I don't know if she's going to want to spread this out over a month. But I also made the mistake of requesting too many of the library books at the same time. So I've got holds that have come and now I have to get them read. So it could be As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner or The Bluest Eyes by Toni Morrison, because I think I have like a few days left on both and I could probably get them both finished. But I only have a week left to read Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. Now, I own a copy somewhere in all this madness, but where is it? I have no bloody idea. So it could be any one of those three. And like I said, I will let you know about my schedule for recording and posting probably next week. You might be able to find it on any of my socials. So my socials are TikTok at L'Adulteress. You can find me on Instagram at L'Adulteress Horror. My Facebook page is at L'Adulteress. You can find all my book merch stuff at Bookalorian Designs on Instagram, Facebook, and obviously TikTok, youtube.com/ at L'Adulteress. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that there's pretty much a podcast. I really hope you're enjoying these episodes, and I'm really hoping that more of you will want to join in on the read-alongs, or even just to have some discussions of things that I can bring up on the podcast to give me more things to talk about. That would be phenomenal. Or you can even come on the podcast. We can have a talk about it, do a little back and forth. That'd be awesome. So you can email me, l'adulteress@gmail.com. Or I can even send you the list if you'd like a copy of the list. I've sent a few out already, but those people haven't contacted me about buddy reading yet, but I am still hopeful. I hope you have the reading weekend that you deserve, and I hope you tune in for the toppling TBR later on today. Thanks for joining me. This is Stacey Wright, the L'Adulteress Whore, signing off. Take care, guys.